I'm Charlene Flick, and I'm involved with the Art Friends, which runs the Al Ringling Theater. We have several other special guests here with us tonight, Mr. and Mrs. Al Ringling. We're very grateful for Dennis Gorder for bringing this wonderful vintage car. On a lovely June afternoon, Mr. Ringling was driven over in his vintage automobile, and according to the newspapers, the applause was very quiet and gentle, so as to not startle Mr. Ringling, because he wasn't feeling very well.
15, then Mayor, Baraboo Mayor Thurer, had these comments to make at this auspicious occasion. We have assembled on this day to acknowledge our deep sense of gratitude to a man who, by his great generosity and public interest, has endeared himself not only to the people of Baraboo, but the entire surrounding neighborhood. In the construction of an opera house, Mr. Ringling is supplying a long-felt want that he should build the same of such magnificent proportion is the strongest evidence of his unselfish nature. Any community is indeed fortunate to be able to claim such a man as one of its citizens, and the many people that are gathered here today signify the high regard in which our benefactor is held. Our hearts go out to him sympathetically in his illness, and I am expressing the wish of everyone that he soon may be restored to good health so that he may enjoy the fruits of his labors that he is so willing to share with others. The high character of Mr. Ringling's nature is shown by the intense interest that he applies in anything that he undertakes. And in the construction of the Opera House, this characteristic regarding the details is clearly shown, even though racked with illness. We delight to honor a man who, by industry, honesty, and integrity, rises from a humble beginning to fame in his chosen field of endeavor, and particularly this is true when it was one of whom we have always known. We are proud of all the Ringling brothers and take pride in relating their success from a humble beginning to all our acquaintances. Their success has been of great material benefit in many ways to our community and is accordingly appreciated by us all. Thank you.
We are glad that this gift should take the form that it does. There is something eminently fitting and proper in the fact that he, who with his brothers has given more joy to more people than anyone else since the beginning of time, should leave to his own townspeople as lasting a monument, as a memorial, not a hospital or a library or institution of learning, but a place of entertainment where we, his neighbors and friends, during all the years that are left to us, may, during our leisure hours, indulge ourselves in wholesome and invigorating entertainment. Because he recognizes, and we agree with him, that pleasure is as necessary to a rational and complete life as work. He has made entertainment the work and study of a life. We may well believe that this last project of his declining years was very near to his heart. It has been indeed a labor of love. We can conceive how lovingly and with what infinite care he lingered over each detail. He has summoned to aid builders, architects, and specialists, yet the structure as we see it and as we will come to know it is in all the essentials the product of his own hand and his own mind, the child of his affections. We recognize it is not only a beautiful theater, one that would adorn any city in the land, but we see it in one that is peculiarly suited to this town and to our own needs. It was designed and built for Baraboo. It represents the dreams of many years. Upon it has he lavished not only the hard-earned wealth, but much anxious thought and care. It has already been built and rebuilt many times in his imagination. For this gift, magnificent in concept, beautiful in symmetry, complete in all its details, we, the citizens of Baraboo, having withdrawn ourselves from our usual occupations, have assembled here to express to Mr. Ringling, in a collective way, our sincerest thanks. We are proud to call him fellow citizen, and we love to think of him as a friend. We assure him that although his name has been emblazoned to all the world and is known to countless multitudes from the rocky shores of Maine to the fruited valleys of California, Although the name is a household word to millions from the Everglades of Florida to the pine-crested mountains of Washington, he is loved nowhere so much as here. Let us tell him that we thank him, not alone for what he has given us, not so much for what he has done, but for what he is. Let him be for the children of the present an example of what a Baraboo resident, unaided, unguided by the exercise of indomitable energy, unswerving rectitude, and invincible perseverance may achieve. Let the children believe that what a Baraboo citizen has done in one field of human endeavor, another child of Baraboo, by the exercise of the same qualities, may do in another. Above all, let them remember that he succeeded because he made of his life's work a work, not a mere money-grabbing game. I have also with me a proclamation, a resolution from the Wisconsin Historical Society to the Al Ringling Theater in Baraboo that I'd like to read. It's brief and appropriate this evening. Whereas the Al Ringling Theater in Baraboo was constructed in 1915, and whereas Al Ringling, one of the Baraboo's leading citizens and one of the founders and leaders of the Ringling Brothers Circus Empire, built the theater as a gift to the city, and whereas the Al Ringling Theater is one of the nation's first movie palaces, and whereas the Al Ringling Theater was an important commission for one of the nation's foremost theater guide design firms, Rapp and Rapp of Chicago, and whereas the auditorium at the Al Ringling Theater is considered one of the most ornate small-town theaters in America, and whereas the theater has hosted both stage and screen shows, as well as public lectures and local graduations, and whereas the Al Ringling Theater was listed in the National Register of Historic Places on May 17, 1976, and whereas the Al Ringling Theater Friends Incorporated is currently restoring both the interior and exterior to ensure that the historic theater will continue to be enjoyed for the next 100 years. Now therefore be it resolved by the Wisconsin Historical Society congratulates the Al Ringling Theater on its centennial anniversary, approved by the Board of Curators May 9, 2015 in Janesville, Wisconsin. And I'd like to present it to you on behalf of the society.
The Wisconsin Senate and Assembly paid tribute to Wisconsin's greatest circus man and leading citizen by adoption by unanimous vote. Whereas Albert Ringling, eldest of the celebrated family of showmen, is now suffering from prolonged illness at his home in Baraboo, and whereas no citizen of Wisconsin or of any other state has afforded, in company with his associated brothers, entertainment to so many children of the country, and perhaps adults as well, and whereas the great Ringling Circus has conferred no little distinction upon this state by having its origin and home here, and whereas the city of Baraboo is giving this public display of appreciation and thanks to Mr. Ringling, therefore be it resolved that the Assembly and the Senate concurring, on behalf of all the people of the Commonwealth of Wisconsin, hereby records its admiration of Mr. Ringling as a man and for the genius displayed in the organization and operation of his great circus.
Thank you very much. I would now like to invite Dr. Brown, Mayor Palm, and Paul back up here to make a very special announcement.
Thank you, Charlene. It is serendipitous that as we gather tonight to celebrate what transpired 100 years ago, we can report that we were notified on Tuesday of this week that our beautiful and now officially historic downtown has received formal inclusion into the National Register of Historic Places as well as the State Register of Historic Places. Our downtown now joins the Al Ringling Theater and all our other historic buildings in preserving our history and our culture for future generations. Let's give Baraboo a big round of applause. We will have a formal dedication ceremony later this summer after we have a plaque made up and have selected a suitable location here in the downtown area. And I would invite everybody that's in the audience tonight to come on back. This is a big deal. So Ellsworth has a few comments I think that he would like to make also.
first comment is congratulations, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to the city of Baraboo. Congratulations to the people of Baraboo. As you look around you, you see a village that is not much different from the day this was beginning and was built. This is a wonderful and amazing achievement, done with the help of a grant secured by the city from Tom Jeffress to do the research that made it possible to put over 90 buildings on the National and State Registers of Historic Places. This is a special place, and that's proof of it. Congratulations again.
There is much more music to go. I just want to say some closing words and thank you to Mr. Ringling. We really appreciate your gift of the theater, and we are conveying the theater into its second century. Thank you.